Hello, everybody, and welcome to Cleveland Stage Door. My name is Jimmy Davis, and we are back again with another Northeast Ohio native. Man, it has been a wild few weeks with Northeast Ohio natives. This is Paul-Jordan Jansen from Juliet. Paul-Jordan, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm happy to be here. Happy to be talking to you.
Yeah, and I'm excited to have you back here in Northeast Ohio. It's so exciting, and it's so crazy how much talent is coming out of Northeast Ohio the last few years. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. I mean, it just speaks to, the theater scene out there and how we all kind of came up and got bitten by the bug and how that's been kind of instrumental in all of our journeys, I'm sure. So
And
it's
there's
great.
actually there's actually a few people from the cast that have connections to Northeast Ohio this time
Yes.
around, right? Like
Yeah.
Nick Drake is also with the BW,
Yeah, we
and
have about five Baldwin Wallace graduates and
wow,
another hometowner, Corey Mock, as well.
wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy. That's wild. We actually talked to Nick before.
Oh,
He's
fabulous.
a former interviewee. We talked to him on with Back to the Future
Hmm.
about a year ago. So that's exciting. So Paul-Jordan, let's talk about your role. And Juliet is coming to Playoff Square for the Keeping Broadway series March 4th to the 23rd. So let's talk about Aunt Juliet. I heard it is a hilarious musical that basically flips the script of Romeo and Juliet. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so basically, without giving too much of the plot away, it kind of starts right at the end of William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. And it's basically we meet Juliet at a crossroads. Was she going to take the what William Shakespeare has written for her and complete that, or is she going to, rewrite the narrative for herself and start her own journey? And she decides to do that, and we kind of, fall into that storyline throughout, the 2 hours and 30 minutes that we get to be there, and it's really quite incredible. Like just taking the book itself and pairing that up with all of these pop hits that we've grown up with and that we know and we love, it is like a millennial's dream. Just in terms of humor, in terms of the songs, it really is incredible storytelling, and it brings new meaning to these pieces that I don't think, in terms of the Max Martin songs, just brings new meaning to them that I don't think you were listening as closely growing up. But I think and Juliet kind of makes you do that, which is really, really wonderful. And there's a little bit for everybody, quite literally a little bit for everybody in this show, which is really fabulous.
So I've read that Lance is like a bold and charismatic character.
Yes.
What was your process of bringing him to life on stage, and what's your personal touches to the role?
Oh my gosh. Lance is kind of like the opposite of what I'm used to playing. I do a lot of like very serious, like broody type of work. I haven't done a lot of like, fun and fanciful and, comedic roles in quite some time. So this is kind of my return to that, which has been nice. And Luke Shepard set up Lance, I think, perfectly. He's like this Shakespearean, like traditional Royal Shakespeare Company style actor from like the 1980s who takes his craft very seriously, and he's just big and loud and boisterous, and that's kind of what I try to bring to this character, is that sort of side of me and those like goofy personal touches and whatnot. I think I try to bring my goofy side to it, I would say. But still, there's that heart there. There's that truth that I think he in his objective and what he wants in the show, that I think still, gleams through even in the goofy moments and makes that more exciting and fun for the audience.
So do you get to like improv any of the part of the show, or is it all set? Like, do you get
No,
to
no.
put any like is it like if you see two shows in a row, is it like going to be the same, or is it all like is it going to be different each show?
I think intention and what we've, in terms of the script and the blocking and all of that stuff, that's kind of the roadmap that we've set for ourselves. I think what's so great about live theater is that no show is going to be the same. There's always going to be something different that, as long as you're listening to your scene partner or whatever, that's going to make you kind of react to just a touch differently, or there'll just be another little nuance that's kind of added in there, which is what makes it so fun. And it makes it so fun to do as a career and have that sort of human connection. So I don't know. I always go in knowing what the roadmap is, and then as far as like improvisation or like changing anything, there's not too much of that. It just happens, within the scene as it kind of develops over time and as it grows and as the characters kind of grow and those relationships flesh out a little bit. And, we're pretty lucky to have a year with it to do that sort of thing, which is really nice.
Absolutely. What's been the most fun and challenging part of working with this cast?
I think what's been, I'm a little older. So I'm 35, so I'm one of the older folks in the cast in particular. And I'm working with some folks that this is like their first kind of big job outside of school. So kind of watching them grow and navigate this experience and, through a lens that is like, experiencing this sort of thing for the first time, even just being in a show professionally outside of school it's a real treat, and it's cool to see them sort of grow and morph into, their artistry um, in whatever role they're playing. I think that's kind of been the most exciting part of this journey so far. And it just kind of reminds me, as this older dude, to sort of look at that and be like, man, don't you remember when you experienced that and how incredible it was? And like, don't you remember your first job and your intro to this business and this industry? And it just kind of makes me feel even more grateful for the opportunity that I have now. Yeah.
That's amazing. What's the one piece of advice you would give to them, as if they would ask, or if they've asked?
Well, I think that they have asked, and uh, I would say to be present and take full advantage of this opportunity while you're young. Um, and also find a financial advisor and get started now.
Yeah, yeah, yep, yep.
Which I have given that advice, and some have taken it. So
That's great. That is
yeah,
great advice. That is great advice. So let me ask you this: what do you think sets and Juliet apart from the other jukebox musicals? There's a lot of them nowadays. What sets it
right.
apart from all the other ones?
I think it's just, kind of a little bit of what I said before in terms of how well it's crafted. Like there is no detail that is unturned, I feel like, um in this show. Everything is so specific and so clear, and these characters, I mean, everybody in that audience can relate to somebody. They're going to, Lance is kind of a father figure in the show. There're going to be a lot of people that can relate to Lance. Angelique, who is opposite of me, a lot of people are going to be able to relate to her, as well as Juliet, and so on and so forth, with a lot of the characters in the show. And it's taking, like anything, real life, real circumstances, and putting them into this kind of fanciful, nonsensical world that we can all latch on to. And I think it's that element of truth that you're getting from the book, and that exploring the songs and the lyrics and the new meaning behind them within the context of our show. Not to mention just hearing these hits that we love. I mean, I have been a part of a couple of jukebox musicals in the past, and finding a storyline that just works and finding that through line was always so difficult. And sometimes it's not there for you to kind of grab onto and make into something. You kind of have to use your own like roadmap, or figure out your own roadmap in order to make these songs work, especially if it's just like a song cycle. But this, I mean, you have the book, you have these amazing songs, you have the world of the play that's so specific. I feel like this is probably the best jukebox musical that's out there, if not one of the best. And unbiased opinion, I really like to go to the text, and they really did an amazing job crafting this one for sure.
That's so exciting. I can't wait to see it. It's going to be great. Let's talk about your past. You mentioned this earlier. This is
Mhm.
the first like comedy role you've had in a while.
Yes.
In the past, you've had some really like legendary roles. You were the understudy for Sweeney Todd on
Mhm.
Broadway under Josh.
Yeah.
You played Beast in Beauty and the Beast,
Hmm.
and then you were also the Lion in Wizard of Oz. So like, how is it transitioning? You were talking about there was a challenge transitioning from three serious roles into a very like comedy centric role. Like, how was that transition? Getting your mindset going in from a serious role like Sweeney Todd into a like comedy centric role to this.
Yeah, I think that for me personally, after Sweeney, my I think my brain and my body were ready for something like this. Um, because living in that world, and whether I'm on stage as Sweeney or just in my ensemble track, is it's a real it's a dark place to be for a lot of the time. And I think we were doing that for about a year and a half. So to spend that amount of time in that world, even though I love that show, like that show was what made me go, I have to do this. That show will always be near and dear to me, and that experience is just wild. Um, but as far as getting ready for any role that I work on, I always, try to go to the text first, read through it, figure out who this character is, and then I immediately try to figure out how do I relate to this person? Is there anything about me or anything in my life experience that I can relate to? So with like, for example, like a Sweeney Todd, I can relate extremely to Benjamin Barker, who is, the true Sweeney Todd, the real person. So, because he and the way he's described in the beginning is somebody who's hardworking, who is a family man, and that's very much a part of, my values and my ethos. And then that's taken away from him. And what does that feel like to have something like that taken away? Um, and same goes for Lance. Obviously Lance is a little bit older than, a little bit more advanced in his years and has an older son than I am right now at this time. But I understand what it is to grow up with a father who wants the best for you. So I can pull from that experience now, being kind of on the other side of that, and having him having raised me at this point, and I can see why those decisions he made and why he felt a certain way about certain instances in my life, and how I kind of roadmap things out. And I can understand how a parent just in general wants to be so involved in their child's life and just wants the best for them. And they think like, okay, well, I'm going to make these little decisions and I'm going to sort of craft this for my kids so that they're set up in the best way possible. Even though your kid might be like, actually, this is the thing that I want to do. And then as a parent, how do you accept that, and how do you go through the process of it not being the thing that you thought they needed, when actually maybe just embracing them and embracing like, okay, this is your decision, fabulous, I'm going to support you 100% every step of the way. And as a son in the arts and an actor, my dad has been 100% behind me uh, from jump, even when he really didn't understand.
Absolutely, and that support is needed
Right.
for sure, for sure. And let me ask you this: what is your favorite song from the show?
Oh my gosh, my favorite song from the show is Domino. Yeah, for sure. It's great. For me, that's the song that kind of like gets everything moving, you know. you have that shock and awe, that kind of spectacle in the beginning of the show, with the opening number, and then we kind of trickle in meeting some of these characters and stuff, which is really nice and intentional and needed. And then we get to Domino, and that I feel like just launches the show on the journey of Juliet and finding that her power, finding her self-confidence, and helping others throughout this process do the same. And kind of like writing their own narratives throughout the story. It's awesome. It's a cool moment. And I always make sure I'm like backstage to watch it for sure.
I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see it. Well, Paul Jordan, thank you so much for joining me. This was an awesome conversation, and I can't wait to welcome you back home. This is so
Yes.
exciting. Have you performed at Playoff Square yet?
Not yet. No.
Not
I think
yet. So this will be the first time.
the last time I performed in Cleveland was at Cassidy Theater, which I'm pretty sure is still around, maybe in Parma Heights. And I
Wow.
was like 17
Wow.
years old, so it's been a long time coming for sure.
This is going to be great. So Angelia, it's going to be at Playoff Square March 4th to the 23rd, 2025. Come check it out. All your favorite anthems and iconic songs performed. And tickets are available at playoffscore.org. Paul Jordan, thank you so much. Any final thoughts? Any final conclusions you have?
Come see us, come support, the Northeast Ohio folks. I mean, it's, once in a lifetime when that sort of thing kind of happens. So, and come enjoy Anne Juliet. It's a blast, and there's something for everybody. You will not regret it.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Paul Jordan. I appreciate it. And have a safe travel. We'll see you in like 2 weeks.
Sounds good. Thanks,
Awesome.
Jimmy.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
In my play, Romeo and Juliet are star-crossed lovers who both meet a tragic end.
Maybe it's not an ending at all. What if she wakes up and decides to just move on? Just me? Or did this just become the best